The lobby of Apex Innovations gleamed under the fluorescent lights, its marble floors reflecting the quiet ambition of a company that thrived on cutting-edge tech. It was 11 p.m., and the building in Boston's financial district was nearly empty, save for Maya Johnson, a 28-year-old Black American woman with a vibrant spirit that outshone her janitor's uniform. Her dark skin glowed softly in the light as she hummed a soulful tune, her voice echoing faintly off the walls. Pushing a cleaning cart, she moved with a rhythm that made the mundane task feel like a dance. Her tight curls bounced as she swayed, lost in her melody, unaware that fate was about to throw her a curveball. Maya grabbed a bucket of soapy water, its suds shimmering like tiny stars. Without glancing around, she swung the bucket toward the floor, intending to scrub away the day's grime. A startled yelp cut through her song. "Hey, what the?" Her eyes widened in horror. Standing before her was Ethan Caldwell, the 38-year-old white American CEO of Apex Innovations, his pale skin flushed with irritation. His perfectly tailored navy suit, now soaked from the knees down, clung to his legs, water dripping onto his polished leather shoes. Ethan's sharp blue eyes narrowed, his angular face set in a fierce expression that could silence a boardroom. His hands covered in light gray fabric gloves, a quirk that had sparked company rumors for years, clenched briefly before relaxing. "Oh my God," Maya cried, dropping the bucket with a clatter. She covered her mouth with both hands, her deep brown eyes wide with panic. "I didn't see you there. I swear. You came out of nowhere. I thought the lobby was empty." Ethan looked up from his drenched pants, his expression unreadable, like a statue carved from ice. Water pooled silently around his feet, each drip amplifying the awkwardness. "He said that was unnecessary," his voice low and measured, as if speaking to someone with a contagious disease. His tone held the weight of a man who hadn't let anyone close in 15 years, not since his mother's abandonment left him wary of emotional ties. Maya's heart raced. She scrambled to her cleaning cart, pulling out a yellow microfiber cloth and holding it out like a peace offering. "Here, take this. It's great for drying, works wonders on my aunt's stovetop. Unless your suit's made of dragon scales or something, it'll soak up everything." She smiled, hoping humor might save her from what felt like the end of her job. Ethan didn't move. His gaze flicked from the cloth to Maya's face, then to the wet floor, and back to the fabric which trembled slightly in her outstretched hand. "Sorry about that, Mr. Fancy Suit." Maya added, her voice softer, now tinged with nervous laughter. She waited for a response, but only silence followed, thick, suffocating silence that made her stomach churn. Without a word, Ethan turned on his heels, stepping carefully to avoid slipping, and strode toward the elevator. Maya tried to salvage the moment. "Hey, you sure you don't want the cloth? It's from the Dry and Shine line, top-tier stuff." The elevator doors slid shut, leaving her with the tipped bucket, a soaked floor, and the sinking certainty she'd just made the worst mistake of her new job. Maya leaned against her cart as the elevator hum faded, exhaling shakily. "Great job, Maya," she muttered to herself. "Day one, and you've already baptized the boss." She glanced at the mirrored wall, catching her reflection, her warm, dark skin, her expressive eyes now clouded with worry. She'd taken this job to support her sister Nia, and couldn't afford to lose it. But something about Ethan's piercing stare lingered in her mind, a flicker of curiosity beneath his cold exterior. "Hey folks, what would you do if you accidentally soaked your boss on your first day? Drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. Boston, New York, or maybe somewhere across the globe. If Maya's bold humor made you smile, give this story a like to keep the vibes going. And if you're hooked on this tale of unexpected connections, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what happens next between Maya and Ethan. Trust me, it's about to get wild. The Apex Innovations cafeteria buzzed with the hum of the air conditioning, a stark contrast to the warmth of the coffee Maya clutched. An hour after her disastrous encounter with Ethan Caldwell, the iced latte in her hand felt absurdly cold against the chilly room. She sat at a corner table replaying the lobby incident in her mind. The bucket, the splash, Ethan's icy stare. Her stomach churned with the fear that her job, her lifeline for her sister Nia's medical bills, was slipping away. The cafeteria, usually a lively hub for Apex's overworked staff, was quiet at this late hour, save for a few admin workers gossiping nearby. "Did you hear about the guy on the executive floor?" One whispered, her voice sharp with intrigue. "Someone doused him with water right in the lobby." "Yeah, soaked from the waist down." Another replied, stifling a laugh. "He had that look like he'd buy the building to fire whoever did it." Maya's grip tightened on her cup. "Who are we talking about?" she asked, her voice barely steady as she turned toward the group. The women exchanged glances. "Ethan Caldwell," the CEO said. "Just back from a conference in London. Always wears those fancy gloves, doesn't touch anyone. Cold as a winter storm." Maya's heart sank. Gloves. Tall, sharp suit, looks like he's never stepped on a subway. They nodded. She slumped in her chair, staring into her latte as if it held answers. "Oh no," she muttered. "I soaked the CEO with soapy water and offered him a stove cloth." The image of Ethan's drenched suit and unreadable expression burned in her mind. She'd heard the rumors about him, a germaphobe who avoided handshakes, a man whose pristine office felt more like a fortress than a workspace. Rosalind, the cafeteria cook, appeared behind her, resting a warm hand on Maya's shoulder. "Welcome to Apex, Maya. You sure made an entrance nobody's forgetting." Her laugh was kind, but it didn't ease Maya's dread. Meanwhile, on the top floor, Ethan sat in his minimalist office, the city skyline glittering through the floor-to-ceiling windows. A fresh pair of gloves lay on his desk, the soaked ones discarded in a sealed bag. He dabbed at his pant hems with a disposable towel, his movements precise but distracted. His assistant Marcus hovered at the door. "Need another suit, sir?" he asked cautiously. "No," Ethan replied, his voice clipped, not looking up. He opened a drawer, pulling out a monogrammed handkerchief, running it over his gloved fingers, despite their dryness. His mind wasn't on the fabric or the water. It was on Maya Johnson. Her bold apology, her nervous quip about dragon scales, the way she didn't shrink under his gaze. "Sorry about that, Mr. Fancy Suit," she'd said, her voice laced with defiance and warmth. In 15 years, no one had spoken to him so unguardedly, so naturally. Marcus hesitated. "Is something wrong?" Sir Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he leaned back, replaying the lobby scene, the splash, her wide-eyed panic, her offer of a cloth like a sacred gift. Unacceptable, yet intriguing. He straightened, his decision made. "Marcus, I need information on the new janitor, the night shift woman, including background history and everything." Marcus raised an eyebrow, a rare crack in his professional demeanor. "A problem, Mr. Caldwell. Just professional curiosity." Ethan said, his tone neutral, but his eyes betraying a flicker of something more profound. Marcus nodded, noting this was the first time his boss had shown interest in anyone outside the C-suite in years. By evening, a file sat on Ethan's desk, its contents surprising him. Maya Johnson, born in Boston, had been a rising star in fashion design, with a degree from the Massachusetts College of Art and Design. Her work had graced local magazines, praised for its bold use of color and texture. 3 years ago, her career collapsed under mysterious debts and a lawsuit from a former business partner who'd mismanaged their joint venture. Now she worked nights at Apex, her dreams buried under the weight of supporting her disabled sister. Ethan closed the file, his curiosity no longer professional, but personal. Who was this woman who turned a janitorial mishap into a moment he couldn't forget? Maya reorganized her cart in the janitor's closet, her hands moving mechanically as her mind raced. "Can he sue me for this?" she asked Rosalind, who was scrubbing a pot nearby. "Like liquid assault or something?" Rosalind chuckled. "You assaulted his ego, not his lawyer's caseload." "Relax, Maya." Maya said I should have grabbed the bucket and bolted, biting her lip. Instead, I handed a dishcloth to a man worth more than this building. She sighed, glancing at the ceiling. "Well, at least he knows my name now." Rosalind grinned. "Oh, honey, he'll be dreaming of you and that bucket for weeks." Maya laughed, but a strange flutter stirred in her chest. Not just fear, but a spark of curiosity about the man behind the gloves. She shook it off, focusing on her work. Yet in Ethan's office, that same spark burned brighter. For the first time in 15 years, he felt a pull towards someone, a desire to know more, and it both unsettled and fascinated him. The Apex Innovations lobby was a silent canvas at midnight, its polished surfaces reflecting the dim glow of overhead lights. Maya Johnson pushed her cleaning cart, her movements slower than usual, her mind still tangled in the aftermath of soaking Ethan Caldwell's suit. The memory of his piercing stare and gloved hands haunted her, but so did the flicker of curiosity in his eyes. She shook her head, focusing on the mop in her hands. "Get it together, Maya," she muttered. "You've got Nia to think about." Her sister's medical bills loomed like a shadow, a reminder of why she couldn't afford to lose this job. Maya's thoughts drifted to her past as she wiped down a glass table. 3 years ago, she'd been a rising fashion designer, her vibrant creations celebrated in Boston's indie scene. A business partner, Tasha, had promised to elevate their brand, but instead siphoned funds, leaving Maya with debts and a lawsuit that crushed her dreams. She was here scrubbing floors to fund Nia's physical therapy. The injustice stung, but Maya refused to let it dim her spark. She hummed a soft melody, twirling the mop like a dance partner, finding joy in the rhythm of her work. Curiosity got the better of her. She grabbed a stack of cleaning cloths from her cart, draping a blue one over her shoulders like a shawl. And now, presenting the Dazzle Dust collection, she announced to the empty lobby, her voice playful. She tied a yellow cloth around her waist, as a skirt, another around her neck, like a scarf, and strutted between the tables, striking dramatic poses. Behold the multi-purpose elegance of Soaks It All, perfect for spills and style. She spun, nearly tripping over her cart, and burst into laughter echoing off the marble walls. For a moment, she wasn't a janitor, but a designer again, her creativity unyielding despite her circumstances. Unbeknownst to her, Ethan Caldwell stood behind a marble column, his breath catching. He'd stayed late to review Project Horizon documents, but strange sounds, soft music, rhythmic steps drew him downstairs. Now he watched Maya's impromptu fashion show, her joy radiating in the sterile lobby. Her tight curls bounced as she moved, her smile bright enough to rival the city lights outside. Ethan's gloved hands tightened. In 15 years, he'd built walls to keep people out, a habit rooted in his mother's abandonment and the chaos of foster homes. Yet Maya, a woman who'd lost everything, found delight in cleaning clothes. It was absurd, unacceptable, and utterly captivating. He retreated to his office, her laughter lingering in his mind. Marcus had delivered her file earlier, and Ethan opened it again, scanning the details. Maya's fall from fashion wasn't just bad luck. Her partner's betrayal had left her with $50,000 in debt and a tarnished reputation. Yet she worked nights to support her sister Nia, who'd been paralyzed in a car accident at 16. A photo in the file showed Maya and Nia laughing at a park, their bond unbreakable. Ethan's chest tightened. He knew loss, but Maya's resilience, her ability to create joy from nothing, stirred something he hadn't felt since childhood. In the lobby, Maya tidied her cart, unaware of her audience. She paused, catching her reflection in a mirrored window. Maya Johnson, stylist of mops, whispered, her smile tinged with sadness. Nia would love this. Her sister had always admired Maya's designs, sketching dresses beside her during chemo sessions. The memory fueled Maya's resolve. She might be a janitor now, but her creativity was her rebellion against a world that tried to break her. Ethan, alone in his office, leaned back in his chair. Maya's file lay open, but his thoughts were on her mock runway, her fearless authenticity. He'd spent years avoiding connection, his gloves a barrier against a world that had hurt him. But with her laughter and clothes, Maya had slipped past his defenses. For the first time in 15 years, he wanted to know more, not just about her past, but about the woman who could turn a lobby into a stage. His curiosity wasn't professional anymore. It was personal, and scared him as much as it thrilled him. Maya finished her shift and locked the closet. As she stepped into the cool Boston night, a strange feeling settled in her chest. Not just worry about Ethan's reaction, but a spark of intrigue about the man behind the gloves. She pushed it aside, focusing on Nia's smile waiting at home. Yet, in the quiet of Apex's top floor, Ethan stared at the city skyline, Maya's voice echoing in his mind. Something was shifting, and neither of them could ignore it. The executive floor of Apex Innovations was a world apart from the bustling lobby, below its sleek conference room, a shrine to power with a glass table that gleamed under soft lighting. Maya Johnson navigated its silence with her cleaning cart, the faint squeak of its wheels, the only sound at 1 a.m. Her encounter with Ethan Caldwell 3 days ago still gnawed at her, his gloved hands, an unreadable gaze, a puzzle she couldn't solve. She'd kept her head down since hoping to avoid another disaster, but her natural curiosity buzzed like a live wire. Something caught her eye. As she wiped the table, a brown folder, wedged behind a chair, half hidden under the edge. "Let's see if there's a name," Maya murmured, bending to retrieve it. The folder was unmarked, but its weight suggested importance. She hesitated, knowing she should leave it for someone to claim. But her old designer's instinct, the one that once dissected fabric samples and trend reports, urged her to peek. Opening it, she found documents labeled Project Horizon Confidential. Graphs and specs outlined a smartwatch for health monitoring, a flagship venture for Apex. Her pulse quickened. This was no place for a janitor's eyes. But Maya couldn't stop. Her years in fashion analyzing materials and user comfort kicked in. The wristband's proposed synthetic material seemed sleek, but prone to wear, likely to fray after months of use. A cost sheet caught her attention, a production estimate of $250 per unit for 15,000 units. She frowned, grabbing her notepad to scribble the math. She whispered that $3,750,000 divided by 15,000 is $180 per unit. The report's $250 figure was off, inflating costs by nearly $1 million. Her pen moved faster, noting ergonomic flaws in the button layout, too cramped for larger fingers, and a masculine design that ignored half the market. Maya knew she was crossing a line, but her mind raced with ideas. She tore a sheet from her notepad, her handwriting neat from years of sketching patterns. Improvement. Suggestions for Project Horizon. From a humble observer, she wrote. Wristband switch to medical-grade silicone with a breathable mesh overlay. Durable, comfortable, hypoallergenic. Buttons. Space them 3 mm apart for better usability. Cost error on page 8, $180 unit, not $250. Design. Add color options for women, 55% of health tech users. She added a pink sticky note. This project's incredible love, the heart rate feature. Maya, the janitor who soaked your suit. Smiling, she placed the notes inside, left the folder on the table, and resumed cleaning. Upstairs, Ethan Caldwell sat in his office, the city skyline a backdrop to his restless thoughts. Project Horizon was Apex's boldest move, a $50 million gamble to rival industry giants. He'd reviewed the documents countless times, yet unease lingered. Maya's mock fashion show from the previous night replayed in his mind her joy, her defiance of circumstance. Still on his desk, her file revealed a woman who'd lost a career to betrayal, yet supported her sister with unwavering grit. Ethan's gloved fingers tapped the desk. Why did she occupy his thoughts? The next morning, Ethan arrived early, his tie crisp despite a sleepless night. Entering the conference room, he froze. The Project Horizon folder sat on the table, not locked in his drawer as he'd left it. His jaw tightened. Confidential leaks could tank the company. But as he opened it, a handwritten sheet and a pink sticky note stopped him cold. Maya, the janitor who soaked your suit. His anger shifted to astonishment as he read her notes. The cost error was undeniable. He'd missed it in 5 reviews. Her material and design suggestions were sharp and practical, addressing gaps his engineering team hadn't seen. Ethan dialed Marcus. Get Maya Johnson to the conference room. Now. 30 minutes later, Maya stood at the door, her heart pounding. Marcus's vague summons had her expecting a pink slip. She knocked lightly. Come in. Ethan's voice called calm, but edged with tension. Inside, he sat at the table. Her notes spread like evidence. Sit, he said, gesturing to a chair. Maya perched on its edge, ready to bolt. You read confidential documents? Ethan began, his eyes locked on hers. Why? Maya swallowed. I found the folder on the floor. I just wanted to return it, but I saw the specs, and I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry. He held up her notes. You caught $1 million mistake and suggested improvements that my team missed a janitor. Maya bristled at the word, but held his gaze. I was a designer once. I noticed things. Ethan leaned back, studying her. Her sincerity disarmed him starkly, contrasting the calculated world he navigated. Your observations are valuable, he said. I'm offering you a temporary role, interpersonal relations consultant. Please help us improve morale. Your perspective could be what we need. Maya blinked, stunned. You're not firing me? No. But we need to talk about boundaries. His lips twitched, almost a smile. And maybe dragon scales. Maya exhaled, a nervous laugh escaping. Was this a chance to prove herself, or another risk she couldn't afford? Once a cold thoroughfare for rushed executives. The Apex Innovations lobby felt different as Maya Johnson pushed her cleaning cart through it, a week after her unexpected promotion. The company had long suffered from a sterile culture, high turnover, rigid protocols, and siloed departments had left employees disengaged, their morale as flat as the overpolished floors. Although unconventional, Maya's new role as an interpersonal relations consultant was a lifeline to prove her worth beyond the mop. Her encounter with Ethan Caldwell's drenched suit and her bold notes on Project Horizon lingered in her mind, a mix of dread and excitement fueling her steps. Maya approached the receptionist's desk, where Sandra, a tired-eyed woman who'd worked at Apex for a decade, tended to a wilting fern. These plants look lonely, Maya said, her voice warm. Ever try singing to them? My sister swears it works. Sandra raised an eyebrow, but humored her, joining Maya in a soft rendition of an old jazz tune. To their surprise, a passing IT worker. Jamal paused and chuckled. You're serenading plants now, he asked. Maya grinned. They're great listeners, never interrupt. The next day, Sandra left a note on the fern. Keep singing, Maya. Employees began greeting the plants, their small talk sparking a livelier lobby. In the IT department, Maya noticed Jamal folding a paper crane at his desk, a hobby he'd kept private. "That's amazing," she said, admiring its delicate wings. "Ever thought about teaching it?" The finance team could use a break from spreadsheets. Jamal hesitated, then agreed. By week's end, he led an origami session in the lunchroom, where accountants and marketers folded dragons and stars, their laughter echoing. Maya joined in, her nimble fingers, crafting a lotus flower. The session broke barriers, with colleagues swapping stories over paper folds, a rare unity in Apex's fragmented culture. Maya's infectious energy rippled further. During a night shift, the lobby's speakers played an instrumental pop song, and Maya couldn't resist. She swayed with her mop, twirling it like a partner. Security guard Carlos, passing by, grinned. "You dance with mops now," he teased. "Only the fancy ones." Maya shot back, beckoning him. "Know any salsa?" A bit shy. Carlos joined her, and their impromptu dance was caught on video by his colleague Miguel. Employees gathered clapping as Maya's pink Crocs flashed with each step. Miguel posted the clip to Apex's internal chat with the caption, "Work just got fun." The video spread like wildfire and was shared on social media with hashtags praising Apex's vibrant culture. External blogs picked it up, lauding the company's shift from its notorious rigidity. While wiping down a conference room, Maya saw the clip on her phone and blushed. She didn't think my mop moves would go viral, so she told Roslyn, the cafeteria cook, who laughed. "You're shaking up this place, girl." Maya's heart swelled, but a flicker of worry lingered. Would her high profile draw unwanted scrutiny? Upstairs, Ethan Caldwell sat in his office, the city skyline a quiet witness to his thoughts. Project Horizon's revised plans progressed thanks to Maya's notes, but his focus was elsewhere. He opened the viral video, watching Maya and Carlos dance, her laughter cutting through Apex's usual tension. Ethan laughed for the first time in years, a genuine, unguarded sound that startled him. He'd built Apex on precision, but its cold efficiency had driven talent away. Maya, with her warmth and spontaneity, was changing that. His gloved hands paused over his keyboard. She wasn't just a consultant, but a catalyst. He couldn't look away. Marcus, his assistant, knocked. "Sir, the board's asking about the video." "They're divided." Ethan nodded, unsurprised. Apex's shareholders valued image over morale, and Maya's unconventional influence might ruffle feathers. Yet watching her transform a place he'd long seen as a machine into something human, Ethan felt a shift. Her file detailing her betrayal by a business partner and her sacrifices for Nia sat on his desk. Maya's joy wasn't naive. It was defiance, a refusal to let loss define her. Ethan's curiosity deepened for her ideas and the woman who made him question his walls. Maya finished her shift, her Crocs squeaking as she locked the janitor's closet. The lobby felt warmer, alive, with the echoes of laughter and paper cranes. She thought of Ethan, his offer, his fleeting, almost smile. Was he watching her too? The thought sent a shiver down her spine, not of fear, but of possibility. As she stepped into the night, Apex behind her, Maya sensed she was on the edge of something bigger that could change or break her life. The elevator at Apex Innovations hummed as it descended from the 15th floor, carrying Ethan Caldwell toward the lobby. It was late, the building's usual clamor replaced by a stillness that mirrored his guarded heart. His gloved hands gripped a leather portfolio, the weight of Project Horizon's looming deadline anchoring his thoughts. Maya Johnson's influence, her viral dance, her origami sessions had breathed life into Apex's sterile halls, but Ethan kept his distance, wary of the pull she exerted. As the elevator slowed at the 8th floor, the doors slid open, and Maya stepped in, her cleaning cart rattling behind her. "Hey, boss," she said, her voice bright despite the hour. She pressed the ground floor button, her pink Crocs scuffing the floor. How's the social experiment going? Cracked the code to human connection yet? Her teasing grin disarmed him, but Ethan maintained his formal posture, nodding politely. Her informality unsettled him, a reminder of the walls he'd built since his mother's abandonment left him in foster homes, where trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. The elevator lurched, then stopped abruptly between the 5th and 6th floors. The lights flickered, settling into a dim emergency glow. "That's odd," Maya murmured, pressing buttons to no avail. Ethan's pulse quickened. He grabbed the emergency phone, but the line was dead. His cell phone showed no signal. The confined space closed in his breath shallow. "No, no, no," he whispered, pacing the tight square. Sweat beaded on his forehead, despite the air conditioning. Maya set her bucket down, watching him. The composed CEO she'd seen days ago was unraveling his gloved hands, trembling. "Hey, take it easy," she said, her tone gentle. "Someone'll notice we're stuck. We're fine. You don't understand." Ethan snapped, his voice sharp with panic. "I can't be trapped. Not like this." His eyes darted to the walls, memories of a cramped foster home closet punishment for a spilled glass flooding back. He pressed a gloved hand to his chest, fighting to breathe. Maya frowned, her concern deepening. "Claustrophobia?" she asked softly. "Among other things," Ethan muttered, leaning against the wall. His usual control was slipping, and he hated it. Maya thought fast. She needed to ground him. "This reminds me of when I lived in a laundromat," she said, sitting cross-legged on the floor. 6 months back when I was 19. Bad breakup, apartment fire, the works. A sweet woman. Mrs. Chen let me sleep behind the washers." Ethan paused, his pacing slowing. "Behind the washers?" he asked, curiosity cutting through his panic. "Yeah," Maya said, her voice warm. Mrs. Chen set up a cot among the detergent boxes. The machine's hum was like a lullaby. I slept better than ever. She gestured for him to sit. The funny part, I started talking to the clothes. There was this navy suit always with a coffee stain. I called it Mr. Clumsy, and made up stories about his messy life. Ethan's lips twitched, a faint smile breaking through. "You talked to the clothes?" He sank to the floor, his breathing easing. "Yup." Mrs. Chen did too. Said clothes carry people's stories. Maya's eyes sparkled. There was a red dress always in after-parties, dances till dawn, and a painter's shirt, the secret artist. Her stories wove a calm over Ethan, his shoulders relaxing. Then she noticed his hands. "You're not wearing gloves," she said, surprised. Ethan glanced down, startled. "I forgot after a meeting." His bare hands felt exposed, vulnerable. "And the world's still here," Maya teased gently. "No plagues or curses." "Don't be ridiculous," Ethan said, but uncertainty lingered. Maya tilted her head, her gaze steady. "Why the gloves?" "Ethan, protection from what?" Her question hung in the air, soft but piercing. He hesitated, the small space, and her presence loosening something inside him. "My mother left when I was young," he said, his voice low. "Always a new boyfriend. Then she was gone. Foster homes taught me that people leave. The gloves, they're a reminder to keep my distance." Maya's expression softened. "You're missing out on so much because of one person's mistake. You're worth more than that." Ethan's throat tightened. No one had ever spoken to him like this, direct, unguarded. "It's not that simple," he said. "It is," Maya replied. She extended her hand. "Try it. Hold my hand. See if the world ends." Her eyes held a challenge, but also a promise. Ethan stared at her hand, his heart racing. Slowly, he reached out his bare fingers, brushing hers. Her skin was warm, steady, no lightning, no chaos, just a simple human touch. "See," Maya whispered, still turning. They sat quietly. Hands clasped, the elevator's hum, a distant backdrop. Ethan felt panic give way to something new, perhaps relief or hope. Maya's eyelids grew heavy, and she leaned her head on his shoulder. "Just a quick nap," she murmured, her voice fading. Ethan froze, then relaxed her warmth, grounding him. 2 hours later, the maintenance team pried open the doors, revealing a scene that stunned the gathered staff. Maya slept peacefully on Ethan's shoulder, and the CEO, known for his icy distance, looked calm, his bare hand still holding hers. Whispers spread as Maya stirred, blinking in confusion. Ethan cleared his throat, regaining his composure, but the moment had changed them both, a quiet promise of something more profound. The Apex Innovations lobby hummed with morning activity, but Maya Johnson felt a chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. A week had passed since the elevator incident, where she'd held Ethan Caldwell's bare hand, his vulnerability cracking the icy facade he'd worn for years. Their quiet moment, witnessed by stunned employees, had sparked whispers that followed Maya like shadows. She pushed her cleaning cart, her pink Crocs silent on the marble floor, trying to focus on her dual role as janitor and interpersonal relations consultant. Yet the weight of those whispers pressed heavier each day. In the cafeteria, Maya sat with Rosalind, the cook, who'd become her confidant. Her coffee sat untouched as she scrolled through her phone, landing on a business gossip blog. The headline hit like a punch. "Ambitious janitor seduces Apex. CEO, scandal brewing." The article, laced with malice, painted Maya as an opportunist, using charm to climb the corporate ladder. Blurry photos from the elevator rescue showed her asleep on Ethan's shoulder, twisted to suggest manipulation. Internal sources claim the former designer, fallen from grace, has wormed her way into executive meetings, it read. Maya's hands trembled. "They're saying I'm after his money," she said, her voice low, like I planned to get stuck in that elevator. Rosalind snorted, stirring a pot. "Folks here know you, Maya. You're the one who got us singing to plants. This is just noise." But the noise cut deep. Maya stared at her reflection in the coffee, her tight curls framing a face now clouded with doubt. 3 years ago, her fashion career had crumbled when her partner Tasha siphoned funds from their joint label, leaving Maya with $50,000 in debts and a lawsuit that branded her a failure. She'd taken night jobs to fund Nia's physical therapy after a car accident left her sister paralyzed at 16. The betrayal had taught Maya to guard her trust, and now this article reopened that wound. "What if people believe it?" she asked Rosalind. "What if Ethan does?" "Ethan's not dumb," Rosalind said. "He sees you, not this garbage." Maya wasn't so sure. She thought of Nia, who'd sketched dresses beside her during hospital visits, dreaming of a day they'd design together. "I took this job for her," Maya said softly. "After Tasha, I swore I'd never let anyone make me feel small again. But this, it's like I'm back there invisible, except for the lies." Rosalind squeezed her shoulder. "You're not invisible here. You've got this whole place dancing and folding paper cranes." Maya managed a weak smile, but the doubt lingered. She'd transformed Apex's cold culture, but at what cost? The article's venom echoed the whispers she'd overheard in the halls. Colleagues who once clapped for her salsa dance now glanced at her suspiciously. She wanted to believe Ethan trusted her, but his world of boardrooms and wealth felt miles from hers. On the top floor, Ethan sat in his office, his gloved hands clenched around the same article on his tablet. His jaw tightened, anger simmering. The photos twisted a moment of raw connection into something sordid. He remembered Maya's hand in his, her stories calming his claustrophobia. She'd seen him not the CEO, but the man beneath the gloves. Now this blog threatened to taint that. He called Marcus his assistant. Contact legal. I want this article done and the source traced. Now. Marcus hesitated. Sir, some board members are talking. They're concerned about optics. Maybe limit public interactions with Maya for now. Not. Ethan snapped. I won't let gossip dictate how I run Apex. His voice was firm, but he wrestled with a more profound fear inside. The elevator had cracked his carefully built walls, exposing a vulnerability he'd buried since foster homes taught him trust was dangerous. Maya's warmth and authenticity had stirred something he couldn't name hope, perhaps, or longing. But the article's accusations echoed his old doubts. Could he trust her intentions, or was he just another mark? He stood pacing to the window. The city skyline offered no answers. Still on his desk, Maya's file details her sacrifices for Nia and her resilience after the betrayal. She wasn't scheming. She was surviving. Yet the gossip planted a seed of doubt, one he hated himself for entertaining. He thought of her laughter mock fashion show and steady hand in the elevator. She's not like that, he muttered as if convincing himself. Downstairs, Maya cleaned a conference room, and her movements were mechanical. She paused, gripping her mop, and whispered, Nia needs me to keep going. But the article's words burned fallen from Grace's suspicious relationship. She'd fought too hard to let lies define her again. Still a question gnawed at her. Could she stay at Apex if it meant hurting Ethan's reputation? The thought of leaving twisted her heart, but so did the idea of him doubting her. As she locked the closet, the weight of that choice loomed, a storm gathering on the horizon. The janitor's closet at Apex Innovations was a cramped sanctuary, its shelves lined with cleaning supplies that carried the faint scent of pine. Maya Johnson stood inside, packing her belongings into a cardboard box, each item a reminder of her fleeting time at the company. The gossip article's sting lingered, accusations of opportunism, echoing the betrayal that had derailed her fashion career years ago. Her hands trembled as she folded a spare apron, her pink Crocs scuffing the floor. The elevator moment with Ethan Caldwell, his bare hand in hers, his vulnerability exposed, felt like a dream, now overshadowed by whispers and doubt. Maya's chest tightened as she thought of Nia, her sister, whose wheelchair-bound life depended on her night shifts. The article had painted her as a schemer. Though Roslyn insisted Apex's staff knew better, the sideways glances in the halls said otherwise. Maya had fought too hard to reclaim her dignity after Tasha's theft left her buried in debt. She couldn't let lies define her again, nor could she risk tainting Ethan's reputation. I'm doing this for him, she whispered, placing a worn notebook in the box. Ethan sat in his office upstairs, the city skyline a blur beyond the window. The article burned in his mind, its lies twisting the one real connection he'd felt in 15 years. He'd ordered legal action, but Marcus's warning about the board's concerns gnawed at him. His gloved hands clenched, a habit to keep the world at bay, since foster homes taught him trust was fragile. Yet Maya's warmth, her stories, her touch in the elevator had cracked that armor. He couldn't shake the fear that she might leave, a fear rooted in his mother's abandonment. Marcus appeared at the door. Maya asked to see you earlier, sir. You were in a meeting. She seemed urgent. Ethan's stomach dropped. He hurried to the janitor's closet, finding Maya sealing her box. What are you doing? He asked, his voice sharper than intended. Maya looked up, her eyes red but resolute. I'm quitting Ethan. That article, it's not just words. It's what it means. People will always question why I'm here, and I won't let them doubt you because of me. Ethan stepped closer, his gloves feeling heavier than ever. You can't leave. You're essential to Apex and me. His voice cracked, betraying the desperation he hadn't felt since childhood. That's why I must go. Maya said, her voice breaking. You're finally opening up, trusting people. I won't let this mess pull you back behind those gloves. She lifted the box, brushing past him. Take care, Ethan. Keep being human. She left before he could respond, the closet door clicking shut like a final note. Ethan stood frozen, the silence deafening. He noticed a shoebox on a shelf left in Maya's haste. Curiosity, or perhaps something more profound, compelled him to open it. Inside were dozens of letters, some on napkins, others on torn paper, all addressed to future Maya. He hesitated, then read one dated months ago. Dear Maya, first day at Apex. Hands ache, but it's honest. Work. Keep going for Nia. One day you'll design again. Another older person read, Dear brave Maya. Nia walked with a cane today in therapy. Worth every double shift. I miss the studio, but family comes first. His hands shook as he read on. A letter from 2 years ago detailed her betrayal. Tasha stole our savings, leaving me with $50,000 in debt. Watching a fashion show, I cried. But Nia's laugh kept me going. A recent note written days before stopped him cold. Dear confused Maya, Ethan's different kind beneath the ice. I want to believe he sees me, but I'm scared it's too much to hope. People like me don't change people like him. Ethan's throat tightened. She was wrong, she'd already changed him. A photo slipped out, Maya and Nia at a park. Nia in her wheelchair, both beaming over a simple picnic. Ethan sank onto a stool, the letters painting a picture of a woman who'd sacrificed her dreams, yet found joy in small victories. He thought of his walls built to shield him from pain. Foster homes had taught him to expect betrayal, but Maya's authenticity, her laughter, her resilience, challenged that. She sees herself as ordinary, he whispered, but she's extraordinary. Ethan closed the box, his mind racing. Maya wasn't just an employee or a fleeting spark. She'd awakened something he'd buried the capacity to feel, to hope. Her departure felt like losing a piece of himself, and for the first time in 15 years, he knew he had to fight for someone. Clutching the box, he resolved to find her not as a CEO, but as a man ready to shed his gloves and face his fears. The Boston streets buzzed with early autumn energy, starkly contrasting with the sterile quiet of Apex Innovation's top floor, where Ethan Caldwell had spent years insulated by power and routine. Now standing in his penthouse closet, he held a faded t-shirt and a baseball cap, feeling like an imposter. His tailored suits, symbols of control, hung unused as he prepared to search for Maya Johnson. Her departure 3 days ago, driven by a vicious gossip article, had left a void in Apex and him. Her letters found in the janitor's closet revealed her sacrifices for her sister Nia, and a resilience that haunted him. Ethan's gloved hands hesitated, then set the gloves aside. Be human, Marcus had urged, and for Maya, he would try. Ethan's first steps into Boston's neighborhoods felt foreign. Without a driver or agenda, he wandered through Chinatown and the North End, the city's pulse disorienting yet alive. Maya's letters echoed in his mind, her grueling shifts, her dreams of a sewing studio, her fear that people like her didn't change people like him. She's wrong, he muttered, clutching the shoebox of her writings. Foster homes had taught him to distrust, but Maya's authenticity, her laughter, her touch, challenged that. He wasn't just searching for her. He was searching for the man she'd made him want to be. On the third morning, near Cambridge's eclectic streets, Ethan stopped mid-stride. A small coffee stand stood on a busy corner, its folding table adorned with thermos bottles and stacks of cups. Each cup bore delicate marker drawings, flowers, stars, tiny birds etched in a familiar hand. The menu board with its looping script confirmed it Maya. She stood behind the stand, her tight curls tied back, a colorful apron over a simple blouse. Humming softly, she served a customer, her smile warm but guarded, a lightness in her movements that Apex's halls had never entirely held. Ethan lingered behind a lamppost, his heart racing. Maya seemed at home here, freer than she'd been under Apex's scrutiny. He adjusted his cap, feeling absurdly out of place, without his suits or gloves. Taking a breath, he approached. He said, his voice aiming for casual, but betraying a tremor. Maya turned, her eyes widening. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" Her gaze flicked to his t-shirt and cap, a faint smirk forming. "And what's with the disguise?" "I was exploring." He lied, then nodded at the menu. "I recognized your handwriting." He ordered a cappuccino and watched her work. Her hands moved deftly, drawing a small sun with rays on the cup as the coffee cooled. $5, she said, avoiding his eyes. The coffee was rich, better than anything at Apex. "It's excellent," Ethan said, taking a sip. Silence hung between them, heavy with unspoken words. Customers approached, and Maya focused on them, but her professionalism was a polite barrier. "Maya, can we talk?" he ventured. "There's nothing to talk about," she replied, wiping the counter. "I've made my choice." Her tone was firm, but her glance lingered a crack in her resolve. Ethan didn't push. He thanked her and stepped back, the sun drawing on his cup, a quiet reminder of her spark. The next day he returned, ordering another coffee. She pulled a bird, its wings outstretched. The day after, a star. Each visit he tried small talk about Boston's crisp air, her stand's charm, but Maya kept him at arm's length, serving him with a nod and a faint smile. Yet her drawings grew more intricate, a silent dialogue. On the fourth day, as she handed him a cup with a tiny lotus flower, Ethan said, "You're making it hard to give up." Maya paused, her eyes meeting his. "Don't you have a company to run?" she asked, her tone softer, less guarded. "I do," Ethan admitted. "But this matters more." He held her gaze, his bare hands steady despite his nerves. Maya's fingers hesitated over the marker. Then she scribbled something new. "Thanks for trying," next to a small heart. Ethan walked away, the cup warm in his hands. He thought of his childhood, the foster homes, where he'd learned to expect abandonment. Maya's letters showed him a woman who fought for others despite her losses. His pursuit wasn't just about finding her. It was about proving he could trust again, that he could be more than the walls he'd built. Each drawing, each visit chipped away at his fear. Maya's guarded warmth hinted at possibility, and Ethan knew he'd keep coming back, bare hands and all, until she saw him as he was beginning to see himself. The Apex Innovations parking lot, usually a gray expanse of concrete, was unrecognizable as dusk settled over Boston. Strings of LED lights crisscrossed above, casting a starry glow. Tucked into mason jars, wildflowers lined the edges, their petals swaying in the evening breeze. A portable speaker hummed softly, ready to play a ballad Ethan Caldwell had chosen with care. He stood at the center, his usual suit swapped for a simple button-down. His hands bare no gloves, a deliberate choice. Maya Johnson's departure had left a hole in his heart, and her coffee stand drawings, each one a small bridge between them, had fueled his resolve. Tonight, he'd take a risk unlike any in his 15 years of guarded isolation. Ethan's plan had sparked skepticism among Apex's staff, but Marcus, his assistant, rallied them. "Mr. Caldwell's going all out," he'd said, grinning. Carlos, the security guard, who'd danced with Maya, strung lights with Miguel, who set up the sound system. Roslyn, the cafeteria cook, contributed flowers from her garden, whispering, "Make it count, boss." Ethan adjusted a candle holder, his palms sweaty. He'd spent years avoiding connection, and his foster home was a lesson in betrayal. But Maya's letters, her resilience, her touch in the elevator, they'd awakened a longing he couldn't ignore. At 8 p.m., Maya appeared at the lot's entrance, her navy dress, hand-sewn with delicate stitching, catching the light. She stopped, her eyes wide. "Oh my God," she whispered, taking in the transformed space. "What is this?" "An impromptu dance," Ethan said, stepping forward, his voice steady despite his nerves. "For a woman who deserves more than a parking lot." Maya's gaze softened, but caution lingered, a remnant of the gossip article's sting and her fear of being misjudged. "You did this for me?" she asked, her fingers brushing the dress's hem, a creation born from her lost design dreams. "I had help," Ethan admitted. "You've won over more people here than you know." He gestured to the shadows where Carlos Miguel and Roslyn watched, smiling. The music started, a soft ballad that echoed their first connection. Ethan extended his hand, hesitating, as he realized his gloves were still in his pocket. "Maya, you said life's better without barriers," he said, his voice low. "I'm trying." Maya's breath caught. She saw his bare hands, the vulnerability in his eyes. Slowly she took his hand, her warmth grounding him. "Then we go slow," she said, stepping closer. They began to dance, Ethan's movements stiff at first, his mind overthinking each step. He stepped on her foot, wincing. "Sorry," he muttered, mortified. Maya laughed, her voice bright. "My Crocs have seen worse." She guided him, her ease loosening his tension. "Relax, Ethan. It's just us." He admitted, "I don't know how to stop thinking," a shy smile breaking through. "Then think of me," Maya said, her eyes locking with his. "Just me." Something shifted. Ethan let go of control, his steps softening as he focused on Maya. Her smile, steady gaze, and dress moved like a quiet promise. The dance wasn't perfect. He stumbled, she giggled, but it felt real, authentic, like everything about her. As the song ended, they stood close, her breath warm against his cheek in the candlelight. "Maya," Ethan said, his voice rough with emotion, "I'm in love with you." Before she could speak, he kissed her, soft, hesitant deepening as she leaned in. When they parted, Maya's eyes glistened. "I love you too," she whispered, her voice trembling with relief and joy. They swayed, wrapped in each other, the music a faint echo. Ethan took a breath. "Come back to Apex. Maya, not as a janitor, but as a design consultant, my partner in work, life, and everything." Maya studied him, the man who'd shed his gloves for her, who'd turned a parking lot into a dream. The gossip and doubt still lingered, but his bare hands and earnest gaze spoke louder. "You really mean it?" she said. Not a question, but a realization. "Yes to all of it, Ethan. But we do this together. No walls." He nodded, pulling her close. No walls. The staff in the shadows cheered softly, their applause a quiet blessing. Under the LED stars, Ethan and Maya held each other, their clumsy dance a vow to face the world together. The Apex Innovations conference room gleamed with cold authority, its glass table reflecting the stern faces of the board members seated around it. Maya Johnson stood at the threshold, her navy dress hand-sewn with meticulous care, feeling like armor against the scrutiny awaiting her. A week had passed since the parking lot dance, where Ethan Caldwell's bare hands and heartfelt confession had sealed their love. Now, as Apex's new design consultant, Maya faced a different challenge, the board led by Harold Whitman, whose disapproval of her unorthodox rise threatened her place. Ethan sat at the table's head, his jaw tight, his gloves absent, a silent testament to his change. "Miss Johnson Whitman," began, his voice clipped, "we need to discuss your role. The shareholders are concerned. A former janitor in a high-level position risks tarnishing Apex's premium image. Maya sat her posture steady despite her racing heart. The gossip article's echoes accusing her of seducing Ethan still stung, but she'd faced worse. Years ago, Tasha's betrayal had left her with debts and a shattered career. She'd rebuilt herself for Nia's sake. She met Whitman's gaze. With respect, my work has boosted morale and saved Apex from costly errors. Image isn't everything. Ethan's eyes flickered with pride, but Whitman pressed on. Our clients expect elite professionals, not unconventional hires. Your presence suggests we're lowering standards. That's absurd, Ethan interjected, his hand slamming the table. Maya caught a $1 million mistake in Project Horizon and turned our culture around. She's more valuable than half this board. Whitman's eyes narrowed. Mr. Caldwell, your affection for Miss Johnson clouds your judgment. Business isn't personal. Maya's stomach twisted. She thought of Nia sketching dresses during hospital visits and the coffee stand where she'd reclaimed her creativity. She wouldn't let these suits diminish her. May I speak? She asked, her voice clear. The room fell silent. You're right. I don't have a Harvard degree or designer suits. I don't know fine wines, but I have honesty, compassion, and the ability to see people for who they are, not what they own. She turned to Ethan, her gaze steady. Ethan Caldwell has made Apex a place where real people thrive, not just numbers. You want to undo that because I'm not your kind of professional. I've news for you. I don't need your approval. I chose myself. She removed her badge, placing it on the table. I resign not because you demanded it, but because I won't work for people who measure worth by bank accounts. The room froze. Ethan's face paled, but a journalist in the corner, invited for a routine board update, discreetly recorded the speech. Maya gave Ethan a sad smile and walked out, her head high. The board erupted in murmurs, but Ethan stood, his voice low but fierce. This meeting's over. We'll reconvene tomorrow. The journalist's video hit social media by evening. Woman delivers lesson in dignity to corporate board. Within hours, it racked up millions of views with comments praising Maya's courage. This is what leadership looks like, one reads. Apex's stock ticked up as blogs hailed its human-centric shift. Ethan watched the video in his office, his bare hands clenched. Maya's words, "I chose myself," echoed his journey from foster home isolation to trusting her. He couldn't lose her again. He called an emergency board meeting the next day, leveraging the video's momentum. Maya's speech has put Apex on the map as a forward-thinking company, he said, his tone unyielding. Her insights drive Project Horizon's success. Fire her, and you fire the future. I propose a partnership. Apex will invest in her new venture, a design studio, and retain her as a consultant. The board swayed by the public outcry, and rising stock agreed, though Whitman's scowl lingered. Maya, meanwhile, had rented a small warehouse in Boston's industrial district. She hung a sign, "Stitch and Soul, where every story deserves a new chapter." Her first project was a dress for a low-income graduate, priced affordably. As she sewed, her phone buzzed with notifications about the viral video. She sighed, missing Ethan's quiet strength. Her heart skipped when he appeared at her studio's door, holding her old shoebox of letters. "I fought for you," Ethan said, his voice raw. "Apex is backing Stitch and Soul. You keep your independence. I keep the company, and we build together. Stay with me, Maya." She stepped closer, touching his bare hand. "You saw me, Ethan. I'm in." Their embrace, amidst fabric swatches and dreams, sealed a partnership beyond the boardroom. The rooftop of Apex Innovations glowed under Boston's golden sunset, transformed into an unlikely wedding venue, humming warmly. Strings of LED lights wove through the railings, casting a soft twinkle, while wildflowers from Rosalind's garden adorned simple tables. 6 months had passed since Maya Johnson's viral speech defied the board, securing her role as Apex's design consultant and launching her studio Stitch and Soul. Now she and Ethan Caldwell stood on the cusp of a new chapter, their love a bridge between their once distant worlds. The rooftop buzzed with an eclectic crowd, former cleaners mingling with executives, a testament to Maya's impact on Apex's once rigid culture. At the front, Maya's sister sat radiant in her wheelchair, her lilac dress hand-sewn by Maya, shimmering with tiny embroidered stars. Nia's vibrant laugh filled the air as she teased Ethan, adjusting his tie from her seat. "You clean up nice, Mr. CEO," she said, her eyes sparkling. "But don't trip during the vows." "Okay," Ethan chuckled, his bare hands steady, a far cry from the gloved man Maya had soaked a year ago. "Are you nervous?" Marcus, Ethan's best man, asked, clapping his shoulder. Terrified, Ethan admitted, loosening his tie for the 10th time. What if she realizes she deserves better? "Carlos?" The security guard grinned, testing the sound system. "She crossed Boston to find you at a coffee stand. She's not backing out now." The music began a soft rendition of the ballad from their parking lot dance. The rooftop doors opened, and Maya appeared, her dress a collective masterpiece. She'd sewn the ivory base, its elegant cut, hugging her frame, while her Stitch and Soul team added touches. Rose's embroidered roses on the hem, Teresa's lace sleeves, Carmen's vintage veil. Maya walked alone, her choice, her smile bright as she met familiar faces. Roslyn, Miguel, Sandra. When her eyes found Ethan's, his breath caught. For the first time, the world made sense. "You look beautiful," he whispered as she reached the altar. "So do you," Maya replied, fixing his tie with a grin. "Let's not make this a boardroom." The justice of the peace, a relaxed woman chosen for her warmth, smiled. "We're here to unite Ethan Caldwell and Maya Johnson, whose love proves that authenticity trumps all." The crowd chuckled, the tension easing. Nia winked at Maya, her presence a reminder of why Maya had fought so hard through Tasha's betrayal, grueling shifts, and gossip's sting. Ethan's vows came first. He'd memorized a speech, but words failed him. "I had a plan," he said, his voice shaky. "But looking at you, Maya, I can only say thank you. For the water you threw, the notes you wrote, the way you showed me life's better without walls. You made me whole." Tears glistened in Maya's eyes, her laugh soft. "My turn," she said. "Ethan, you saw me when I was invisible, valued me when I felt worthless. You loved me when I doubted I deserved it. I promise to love you back, challenge you and keep you human. No gloves required." The crowd laughed, Nia loudest of all. Maya tripped slightly on her dress as they exchanged rings, grabbing Ethan's arm. He steadied her, but his foot caught, nearly toppling them both. "Oh, Lord," Maya laughed, clutching the justice, who stumbled but grinned. The audience roared, the moment dissolving any formality. "That's why I love you," Ethan said, holding her close. "You make everything real, even weddings." Maya teased, her eyes bright. "Especially weddings," he replied. The justice, recovering, smiled. "Ethan, do you take Maya to be your wife, to laugh, stumble, and rise with her? Forever?" "I do," he said, his voice firm. "Maya, do you take Ethan to be your husband, to love, challenge, and maybe fix his plans with sticky notes?" "I do," Maya said, tears falling. "Always. I pronounce you husband and wife," the justice declared. "Ethan, kiss your bride." Their kiss was tender, deepening with shared joy, met with cheers. Carlos and Miguel released eco-friendly confetti, a colorful shower over the couple. Mauro Aya leaned into Ethan, whispering, "You chose me by accident, that bucket in the lobby." Ethan kissed her forehead. "But I love you on purpose. Maya Collins forever." As they danced, the city skyline glowing behind them. Nia rolled up, tugging Maya's veil. "You did well, sis," she said, then grinned at Ethan. "Keep up, or I'll design her next dress." Their laughter mingled with the music, surrounded by an improvised family cleaners, guards, executives, united by a love that defied rank and expectation. On that rooftop, Ethan and Maya promised not just to each other, but to a life of authenticity together.